Hello there, YouTube. We will be taking apart this, oiling it, adjusting it, getting all the factory oil out of it. Forgive me if I get a name wrong of a part. To me, this is a cross feed. They call this the top slide. Well, they call this the cross slide. This is the top slide. They call this whole thing the carriage. Well, a carriage is what goes back and forth on a lathe where you can automatically feed it, run it manually. This is what slides onto the bar. Let's swing over here. Okay, this is what slides on here. It's flattened and grooved on the top. When you get this stuff, of all the videos I've watched, I advise you take stuff apart and clean it. Now there's paint in here which is going to come out of here. I had to spray this to get this off that shaft. Okay, this has two Allen screws in there. They're on either side of that Phillips screw. The two Allen cap screws hold this to this part. Okay, I will disassemble this because there was a gap in here to start with. You adjust the Allen screws, it moves this up and down to make this level this way, so you can raise or lower either side. Okay, I don't have a tri-square yet, but I will have one. Also in the instructions they tell you to chuck like a 4-inch piece in there, run this back and forth, measure with your mic, and adjust this accordingly, and put a mark on here. Well, I may just put a mark on here with a piece of tape and a Sharpie marker till I start learning this and know exactly where this is going to be squared. I don't want to make a mark on here and years later have to change it or something. So it may be just a Sharpie mark, a piece of tape or something. Okay. Now, you get a little wrench that goes over here. Try to do this on camera. Don't want to make these videos real long. There's a little wrench goes over here. I got stuck in there pretty good because I had to clean the paint out of the hole. Okay. This is what locks this. See how it turns? Now it's locked. Okay. When you take this out, I studied the instructions pretty good. That's all offset and everything. And you'll understand once I take this off here. Because there's a hole in this pin. Okay? See that hole? Okay, this is what comes on it. This is more like a rust preventative oil or something. There is even grit in there. There was dirt in there. There was black, sludgy looking junk in there. That's a casting defect. The little table had one. It's a casting defect. Now it sticks up. I will clean that off. I will try not to make no big giant divot. I can feel a little bit of hunk there, defect. It'll probably pass good enough for them. It's not going to pass good enough for me because you can see when I put this on here and turn this back and forth, it may not be near it. Near anywhere I'll go, but it's still coming off there. Okay, also on these are very hard to move. I did not play with this too much. These, if I remember right, someone correct me if I'm wrong, called Gibbs screws on a lathe. You loosen the screw, which is nice, has a slot, and then you have your nut. You adjust this for the play in here. Okay, so this I'm assuming is a bronze brass shim. See the dovetail look? I'll have a couple pictures of this when I take it apart. Of course, there's your hole for that, where it goes through here. Your little pin. All that does is just offset. And it goes to the hole, then it wedges itself in there. Unless I was on telemacro, it would be hard to see, but it wedges itself in there. Nice little idea. I just need to take the paint out of the wrench. Could be powder coat or whatever. Don't grind it out. Just scrape it out with a tip of a razor blade, X-Acto knife, something. Okay, so we're on to cleaning all this up. I'm going to go outside and spray this. I'm not going to take anything apart, but we're going to spray all this mechanism. We're going to spray it very well. We're going to use our lube that we use. If we don't like that lube, we may change to a synthetic motor oil and put in a little dropper bottle or something. Gonna get rid of this stuff. I would not recommending anyone getting a lathe and using this oil that's on there. This is nasty. Nasty. See how gooey and sticky that is? Where it's set, it looks like it's a waxy type oil. I do not like waxy oils in a car. I won't mention no brand names. Years ago they put paraffin wax in oils for antique motors. You don't want that gooey stuff on anything. It's just gooey like glue. That's what it reminds me of when I see that. I don't use greases like that. Brown greases and stuff, even on bearings, like with the soap stuff in it, whatever they call it. I like something a little more modern. We also will take, I'm going to look in here. Like I said, we're also going to take all this off of here and clean the paint out of it. We will mark with a Sharpie which end is what, so this goes back in here exactly the way it went in there. Okay, off disassembling it and cleaning it and show you what it's like when it's done. Okay, we thought this was important enough to show here. We took the handle off. There's a little pin right here. There's a slot in there. Lock washer, nut. I do have all your manual, your schematic. Should have been further away for that, but it's in the manual. Okay, this was so gummy. I've had this all out. I've had this shim out of here. It only goes in one way because the screws are offset. I did mark it which way it went, but if you had it in backwards, these screw holes would never line up. So they were smart enough to make it so it only fits one way. Okay, we took care of that problem. We have a picture where it had a bunch of scummy black paint or goo on it, which would make it jam when it slides. Not complaining. This stuff you should do with this. If you have to have somebody else do it for you. Okay, all we're doing is running the screw in and out of here. This is actually brass in there. Can't see it down there, but this is a brass piece. All we're doing is running the screw in and out of there till this comes up and touches here. See how that touched? Because we're spraying this. This was so gummy with black, gooey junk. Not brown grease either, like a black. You can almost see a couple traces of it down in here. So we're spraying this real well because we had this moving where we know it was better, but it just felt like this is too stiff. Well, I loosened up the nut and the lock washer here and it helped a little bit, so I went ahead and took it off because I do have the instructions of it. The exploded view, they call it. So if you're going to do this, just keep spraying this and let the stuff run out till you get this lubed up. I mean, it's better right now, but I'm going to spray it some more. But we'll get back to work. We do have some pictures of a few things we found, a couple burs here and there underneath. We had to improvise. This is a fingernail file, but it's diamond. See where I bent it? I had like a burr. Say there was a real small burr right here underneath. It was actually on about right here on one of the pieces towards the end. Okay, we took this and went down on there real carefully and rubbed it off. Okay, that's all we could do. We wasn't going to get out no rotary Dremel or nothing, but we bent that at a curve. You can sharpen knives with these. Just cheap diamond fingernail files. They will go through iron. Okay, we'll get back to work. We may have to do the same thing to this one. If we think it's a little gummy in there. But this would be your one that goes this way, your cross slide. This is the bottom of it. This would be the top of it, where this piece goes on. Okay, we'll get back to work so we don't make this a real long video.